There we are.
Are we live?
Oh,
Live. Good evening. Tonight I have a jar wristwatch and some time, which is a terrible pun, but for once isn't my fault. It was Graham's idea.
Whee!
So it took me a minute to get it because I don't recognise plants. Apparently, you use it in cooking in some way. You can put it in food. Is that what you're saying?
Time.
Wow! Imagine that. So yeah, I'm not about to try it, but the more adventurous among you, maybe try putting some of that on your food to see what happens. I'm just getting my palette sorted out. Some additions to go on and load up. Probably not going to need loads of red. Actually, it might be more than I think. And there's a sort of a crimson undertone of things. So, right, so I'll stick a bit more of that in. A bit of alizarin and crimson. I don't know what I do with my wine. Lots of paint somewhere. Maybe I would mix some paint actually. There it was. Why is it here? Who's I do with that?
Sorry, I'm with you now. Sorry. I've been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I quite like the blue background. I like the void quality to it. Also, it feels a little bit Mediterranean.
Yeah.
A bit like the temperature. So
It's quite nice to see. Isn't it?
happy to go with that. I'm wondering whether I'm going to go with some thicker painting tonight. Build up a bit of a surface. I think I might go with a bit of a combination. I think I might go for a nice smooth background, so I can load up some texture when it comes to the time. And
We got so much fun with the puns in this.
let's not though.
Yeah. When the time is right, surely you should be. Yeah. Come on, keep up, James.
I was giving you a withering grimace. So yeah, so suggestions for a title for this will be very welcome.
Oh yeah.
And if it's got a terrible pun in it, all the better.
Extra point.
I'm not above that kind of thing, as many of you will be aware. I did once paint 3 bags of flour and called it Bunch of Flowers. So I do love a dreadful pun from time to time. No, I never mind. It's your idea as well.
Yes, please.
Time to time, never mind. I think half of them are going to be fairly unconscious as well. So, for those of you in the know and on the email list will be aware that I have been having a show this week in the lovely gallery at Shaftesbury Arts Centre. It's a nice white wall gallery that really shows stuff off well. So that's been fun. It's interesting seeing things in a new setting. A few new pictures, including the beanshot one that I did last week. If you wanted to go into the shop and see it, can't solve it. It's not the proper response. I'm a bit sort of frazzled. That's the word I use.
It's the watershed word you use.
No, I don't want to say burnt out, because there's people who actually burn out. That would suggest to me having some kind of breakdown. I haven't done that to myself for a long time. So this is just a bit frazzled. Nothing, a couple of months in the Bahamas won't cure.
I'll be setting up a Kickstarter for that, are we?
How willing do you think people would be to donate?
What, to send you off to the Bahamas?
Yeah, I mean, I clearly need a holiday. What kind of selfish person would just leave that money in their bank account when I could be in the Bahamas, sat on the beach drinking Mai Tais? Imagine that. Or more to the point, imagine depriving me of it. It's tantamount to cruelty.
Yeah.
Shows
what sort of selfish followers you have.
How do people live with themselves? Yeah, so I'll have a little bit of break, and then so I'm looking forward to sort of stepping up the live stream a bit and trying some new things.
Oh yeah, we've got some plans for that, haven't we? Plan?
Yeah, I think it's that plan.
Yeah.
Other things to mention. If you enjoy the live streams, you can support them at my Buy Me a Coffee. The link of which is in the description of some of the videos at random. It should end up in the link of this video. So if you're watching it, more to the point, if you've got any suggestions, any ideas, any things you'd like to see, I would be delighted to.
Especially if they are pun related.
I was thinking more painting related, but we could make it a pun channel instead if you think we're going to take over. But yeah, it doesn't go amiss. A bit of humour, a bit of fun. You can have a bit of a laugh. I tell you, it's a. I don't know if it's a new thing for me. Maybe I think I've always sort of had the idea of putting humour into paintings, but I've never really taken it seriously before. So this is sort of a fairly new thing that's happening, but people seem to enjoy it. They like the unusual martinis and yeah. Okay, talking about puns. I did a painting of cereal boxes stacked up in interesting ways, which was called Cereal Colour. I'm still mildly ashamed of that one. I want to. Yeah, it's quite a small, tight picture, but I want to do something with it. I don't know what yet, so I'll just crack on. I've got this nice sort of thing happening. So it's sort of breaking out of there. Not like this, sort of drifting off. Yeah, exactly going to be there sort of thing. If that's there, then here's the jar and that's the watch. That will work just fine, I think. It's going to be more like where the shadow is. That's going to be more like where the watch goes. This is a hard line in there. So yeah, okay. Drawing is landing pretty quickly on this one. Quite like the way it's not. No, it is the shadow of the bottle. Where it sort of wanders across. Wander off here now. Actually, I quite like the stuff escaping out the top. The stuff. I'm going to try and use actual words, shall I? Right, that's going to be the top of the vase, pot, whatever you call it. It's going to drift down. It's the space here. I like that. I like the idea of the time being busy and everything sort of calming down for the stopped watch at the bottom. So scrub that out a bit. Yes. Create some edges. I think I'm kind of finding my way in there. Paste. Pinning down this drawing now. That's in. Let's do that. Okay, yeah, so we're getting a bit complicated up there now. Too much thinners. Gonna dribble. B. Okay. Few things happen. That's there. In there. Okay, now I'm being fiddly. I think start to see a jar there. Sorts.
When you tackle something which is as intricate as what the time is going to be, as in the plant, what are the biggest challenges for you for it?
Simplifying. A botanical artist would spend a long time and render it very accurately in the way botanical artists have always done, which would be useful to a naturalist who wants to sort of see the details of what that plant is, how it grows. They don't do an impression. That takes time. If you want to just create the sort of the sensation of looking at it, you can do that a lot quicker, but only if you've got a means of simplifying it. and sometimes some things are just very hard to simplify, and these can be one of them. So sort of getting some gestural marks that say the right kind of thing, the right kind of pattern making that describes the feeling of looking at it, so that the viewer's mind does the work for you, fills in the gaps, so that it becomes harder with things that we don't naturally have a prior knowledge of, or an existing idea of what it should look like. So a face can be suggested with very little information, but something more abstract. So years ago, I used to do a particular drawing exercise in the classes where you'd have two pictures. One was it's fairly arbitrary, but I chose a picture of David Cameron on his bicycle, just because it's sort of clipped off. So at the back of his bike, the picture stops, so you can't see the Daimler behind him. He's got his, expensive shoes in it, and the other picture. So what I do is say, look at this picture for like 3 seconds. We'd have it up 3 seconds. It'd flash up, go away again, and then people would draw for as long as they could remember what they'd seen, or at least or so they thought. As long as it felt like they were recalling stuff, they'd keep drawing. And the most people kept drawing for was about a minute and a half after the image had gone. Usually for sort of details and things like that, he had his cycle helmet on, he had a rucksack on or something, and all that kind of thing. So people keep drawing for about a minute and a half. The next picture was the fuel distributor from a Range Rover, or Land Rover or something, and just completely unfamiliar object. Familiar in the sense that you can see it's made of metal, you can see it's probably a cast piece of metal, it's got these tubes, some interlocking set of tubes, but no familiarity. No normal, everyday person would have a familiarity with how it works, and what pipes go into it, and how they're directing what where, or anything like that. So there's no existing mental model of what it should look like. And after that, people drew for a maximum of about 15 seconds.
That's interesting.
So that's a 6-fold increase in how long you keep drawing for, even though the information must have run out. So people keep drawing, even though they must have run out of information of what they actually saw, but their brain is very keen to fill in, useful information based on what they know, and that's a perfectly reasonable way of operating in the world, and one that serves us very well. But it's very hard to switch it off. So that can be an obstacle when you're painting. But more to the point, it's also something you want to employ when you're making images, because if the viewer's doing the work for you, then as the artist, you're saving yourself a lot of bother. Okay, that's not that. So I'm quite keen to draw where this watch goes. I've got an idea of what a watch looks like, so this is already working against me. I'm already trying to I'm trying to look at what it looks like, but my brain is trying to invent what a watch looks like, and sort of conform to that idea. So this is quite different to what I drew earlier. It does line up. This is all great. It all gets a bit pinker. So I have to decide whether I'm happy with this. It's a big old mess, isn't it? I quite like it with the space. To here, everything. Shadows. No, that will just keep going up.
Oh, Josie's tuned in again.
Oh, hi Josie.
She said she's been stricken with the throat lurgy, which messed up her plans to come to Shaftesbury.
Yeah, no.
If she feels A1 tomorrow, she might, but that would be a little bit late.
Well, I will be there in the morning.
Get there in the morning, Josie.
But you've seen it all before. I'll make a special effort for you for the next one. Do a whole load of new paintings. But no, sorry to hear you've been poorly. I hope you're feeling better now. Okay, I'm definitely getting fiddly with this already. This jar is going to fight me as well. I need to stop and think about this.
Just thanks for getting there.
I think this is going to have to expand. No, it seems crazy, but I think I'm going to have to pretty much start over. Awful.
No.
Okay. I'm going to get some extra dark paint. Really. And then I'm going to get mixing and I'm going to start chucking things in a bit. Start to tighten up. I mean, I've got that out of my system now, so that will do. This is where I wanted the front of the wash to be. I'm going to build it from here. Okay. I'm just going to look at these abstract shapes. So, it's going to be something like that. If that's there, that's there, that's there. It's going to bend it a bit. That's going to be there. It's going to come down here. It's going to go all the way across there. That's going to be that shape. It's going to be the top pot. There's going to be some time stuff wandering down. Okay, what's this even doing? It doesn't know. There's going to be a shadow there. Let's soften that down a bit. Like that.
Is there a kind of limit to the amount that you can kind of start, think it's messed up, start again, think it's messed up, start again?
It depends what stage you're at. If you've already put in a ground and stuff like that, you may as well start over. But you can move that paint around that's forming the ground.
But is there a point where the canvas gets too full?
Yes, but you can always take paint off. Now, it could be that you're at a stage where taking the paint off means pretty much destroying everything you've done. Not that you can't do that. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you'll get to a stage and you'll get something in, you'll have done some detail, and you'll realise it's wrong. You just got to scrape off and go back to the blocking in stage.
Okay.
But you can always control how much paint is on the surface at any one time.
But is that why you start off initially with quite a watered down, I say watered down, you know, boiled down.
Yeah,
Thin.
Yeah, well,
that's
it's
thin.
because you're just staining the surface to begin with. So this is, yeah, I mean, it's sometimes called an imprimatura, but that's more used to describe the way they used to prepare a canvas with, yeah, pretty much putting a layer of paint on, much like this, but then you'd let it dry, and then it would control how absorbent it was, and sort of all that kind of thing.
Kind of like a primer.
Yeah, but I've already sized the canvas, so let's sort of there. If that's sort of there, then this is sort of there. Yeah, that's interesting. And then it's going to be here. That's weird, it's sort of still a bit all over the place. Okay, I need to get some colours on here now. I might start with just a few simple ones. To the palette.
You're on palette colour.
I think we are. I've got a bit of Viridian to use up here. Just mix it white.
Good view of the palette this evening.
Huh?
Good view of the palette this evening.
Good. Some cyan green for this, I think. There it is. It's getting pretty solid now. I'll achieve that at some point. Side, that's a very intense colour, far more intense than I need it raw. Background colour of sorts. Probably a bit too bright, but I can work into it afterwards. Like I said, I thought I might do that as a nice thin layer. Now, that would be a lighter version. Which I'm going to put here. Sort of creamy white from last time, which I might back out again. Not working at all. Okay, quite nice. I've got that brown. So I've got this violet colour here. Let's put that out. And let's tone it down. It's yellow ochre. For the pot, it'll give it kind of earthiness. Yeah, starting to approach. Actually, this is really going to fight that background colour, which is going to be kind of fun. Maybe I'll keep it a bit stronger, those two together.
Ooh. So that's the bottom of the pot, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a slightly lighter version of that. A bit of bleached titanium white, which will kind of do the top of the pot after a fashion. Nice clean colours. Not mixing loads of paint still. When it comes to the shadows, that's borrowing a bit of this and a bit of this. If I mix them together, I wonder what will happen. Oh, it's still green. That green's very powerful. Yeah, need some alizarin crimson in that just to take the edge of that green. This might get me to my shadow colour for that surface. Where's the tonal jump? This is where it's light. It might be a bit pinker. Sneak a little bit of cadmium in there as well. Too much. Put that over here. Right, let's see how these work together to give me a fairly flat background. Use a bit of thinners just to make it go further. This is interesting. That's one side of it. This is the other side of it. Yeah. This is, I'm feeling this is going to turn pretty chaotic pretty quickly.
We have a message from Matthew White to say, good evening, James and team.
Hi, Matt.
Finally made it back on for a live viewing.
Hey. Matt's got a new EP out that I need to get on, and I'm going to have a bit of an indulgent few weeks after this show's over. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to make some new time lapses, which by tradition must contain Matt's lovely ambient musings. Do you know that music you was complaining about in the background?
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah. That's Matt. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
He knows me well enough to never ever take me seriously.
I'll be sure to buy a copy.
Very fortunate to have friends that routinely ignore me completely. All right. I've put a few little marks in just what I can. Then we're going to go across to this pink colour. This feels really wrong, but I reckon I'll get away with it.
Matt's just comes back. I complain about enough. Smiley face.
I recommend everybody check out Skinflower Music and listen to the sublime creations he makes. His special big guitar.
Do you, by any chance, James, have your phone in your pocket?
Oh, I think I left it somewhere. I like to leave it places.
Because I think, well, in which case, during the break, it might be a good idea to grab it because the image of what you're painting this evening isn't quite as sort of in focus
Okay.
as previous ones, so it might be worthwhile just halfway through. No, do it at the break. It'll be fine.
No, you put the idea in my head now. Now I need to find out what my phone. There it is.
So, please excuse us for this small interlude whilst James goes and finds his phone.
It works. Yeah.
Right, let's just yeah. Once you set it.
Thank you. So where was I?
So I just thought it would be
No, good idea.
Instruct the artist in his whilst he's in his moment.
I'm trying to work. Nobody understands me. I can't deal with these conditions. People are all Philistines. Is that the kind of thing I'm meant to be doing?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still trying to get the hang of that. My tantrums aren't really up to par, but I think it's the one thing holding me back from worldwide fame.
Yes. Yeah, your prima donna isn't quite there yet.
If I could really pin down how to be a truly horrifying human being, I feel like I'm barely halfway with it.
I still cry myself to sleep at night. But...
Good. So I'm making progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice to know. That makes me feel a lot better, Graham. Thanks.
Oh, here to help.
Okay, I've slowed down. I've started getting fiddly again. I've got to zoom out. See if how well this is working. Go back to that pink colour. Yeah, it's not quite it. Break that off there, so it makes sense. Doesn't look quite. It's got to come up. The shadow's got to come up. Should I just block that out in the meantime? Yeah, so this is very, very thin spread out paint, but enough to get a colour on. And it goes green again, which is very interesting. So where else does this turn up? It turns up here. A bit back here, but I don't entirely know where, so I'll just drop that in. Okay, keep the same brush going. Let's go into this shadow colour, which should look greener now. Especially in there, completely off. That's going on. Okay, so getting a bit of speed on now. still needs to be pink. Very interesting. Let's see how pink we can make this. A pink shadow right there. It's really purpley. Some room between the two still. There we go. Marking there. Okay. Keep a bit of this purple going. I'm going to go back to the green a bit. Lighten it slightly. See if I can put a bit of that in here. It's still a bit fire, but that's okay. Some of this light around here. Oh well, I'll keep this really vague. I'm still not quite sure about it. Under here. There we go. Now I'll get back onto this shadow now, which actually does this. Quite pleased with that. There you go. Okay. Another decent sized brush. Let's put some of this brown. Again, a little bit thinner because I don't want to be piling this on thick. That's going to go in here somewhere. That looks really purple, doesn't it? Pop a little bit of red in it. Just a little touch of red. Way too much. It's a fine balancing act, this. No, it works for the shadow. I'll warm it up later. Also, it's going to go here. Just here. The top part. So that's in. Soften that down a bit. What's that? Ah, that's why. Went to the lighter colour. Forgot to go back. That half past.
No, it's 1:45.
Wow. Amazing how it flies by, isn't it? Okay, while this is here, I'm going to use some of this colour for kind of a an undercoat on the watch face. A few little flashes there for that. That's going to be for thicker paint. Right, last bits. Let's get some of these green shadows going.
It's quite interesting that you're painting a plant which is green, and yet you haven't mixed any green on the palette yet.
Oh yeah, it's probably mostly fear. No, that will come later. And actually, underneath the green, well, I suppose the green probably does go underneath. Maybe I could put a bit of that in here. So some of these darker greens will go in here. They're going to give it browner than that, much warmer. I'll put a few bits in there. That's a really sort of thinned. Smooth it out. I go for this lighter colour. I mean, I'm completely guessing at whether this is a good background colour. I think it is. That's probably a bit too thick. I can spread it thin. Wakey. Saturate that a bit. Shapes, space in there. It's also going to go a little bit in here. Okay, so that's not thick enough. Do its job. Little bits. That's going to be steeper in there.
So with your show, was there anything that you were kind of particularly surprised at in terms of stuff that got sold?
I'm always surprised. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I mean, I tend to ask people what, if anything jumps out at them, and what they sort of, because I always make the point that if you make the stuff, you're just too close to it to have any kind of perspective. You see wood for the trees sort of thing. Sorry, bear with me a second. So yes, probably. Sorry, that's not a good answer, is it? Yeah, a very nice couple I know who I was chap who goes to art groups himself, and so I've met him a few times, and he usually tends to do his own thing, which is, it's a very personal thing for him, so he doesn't tend to join in the exercises and things if I bring something along, but he'll be there in the room, and he'll sort of be instrumental in helping everything set up and keeping the whole thing going. but what he works on himself is something very conservative and quite controlled, and very focused sort of drawing, usually just in black and white. And he and his wife bought the Spaghetti Hoops Martini. And they were just really amused by it. They just really enjoyed the fun of it. And I think it tells you something about how, how different we can be to ourselves than we are to the rest of the world. That once he puts his pencil down, he goes, well, let's have some fun and let's join in with things and all that kind of thing. And that was really sort of interesting. I never would have thought he'd be the person to buy that. I think he would be looking for something with real technical competence that was sort of impressive and all that kind of thing. And it's a very different sort of picture to that. Ooh.
So Matt just says that's a very true statement, applicable to any form of creativity, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's when it's you go, oh, everything has to be perfect, and then you listen to something else that someone's done sloppily but with fun and verve, and you go, brilliant. I wish I could do that. And of course you can, but it's whether you'll let yourself. It is a very interesting.
It's quite interesting that another painter has bought some of your work, which, like you say, is completely different to what he does himself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of leads on to the question then of what sort of artwork would you choose?
Do I choose?
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I think for me, it's about a vision. It's about someone seeing something that maybe I didn't see, and it being revealed to me in some way. Maybe that's what I try and do with my paintings for other people.
That's quite a hard brief, considering we've had conversations before about the way that you view the world, the way that you view individuals, how you can see people.
But the sort of the. So I think for a lot, this is it's an interesting one. Maybe this isn't exactly what you asked, but I guess it's been in my head quite a lot. I think painting is a way of talking to the world. It's a way of talking to the world visually. I think it's something that if you get it right, then someone gets to perhaps even just momentarily experience the world as you do. You get to manifest something which might be entirely personal, and it could be something as simple as just what a set of priorities, what you think is most important about a wristwatch or a jar or whatever it is you're looking at. But then beyond that, there's another quality which is how do you put it? It's addressing that thing that as individuals we're all kind of trapped in our own heads. We've all got individual experience, so we assume. I mean, for all any of us know, everyone else could just be a simulation set up for our entertainment. That's some kind of Truman Show.
I was going to say Truman Show or Matrix S.
Matrix S. Or if you want to actually look at the origins of...
That's the Shadows on the Wall, isn't it?
Oh, hang on, which one's that?
Oh,
yes. No, I know. Under that, that goes back to the Greeks. Descartes famously came up with the whole cogito ergo sum. Think therefore I am, from the idea of what do you actually know? What do you know is a real experience? And what could be part of some grand illusion played out by some external force that you're not in control of? What can you actually experience, and what can someone make you experience? And the only thing that no one can make you experience is the experience of thinking, that somebody has to be doing the thinking, and that is what you would call you. It doesn't answer an awful lot of the question, but it does at least say there is a thing called you, and it is defined by the fact that it is the thing that's thinking. And anyway, that personal experience is so locked away that all the arts and plenty of other things beyond it are constantly trying to release that human experience, and we volunteer for it very readily to try to sort of what you could say, pin down that part of ourselves. I don't know, but to home in on that level of experience ourselves and say, where can we find some kind of commonality? How can we be a little bit less alone? Maybe this is just a personal thing, I don't know, but I think that's the thing. I think it's a common theme, and so in painting, that's a part of what I'm trying to do. It's an internal conversation. It's a conversation I'm having with myself, but it's one that can be seen by others. Therefore, should they choose to, they can take something from it too. They can give value to it if they see fit. And I think that's about all I have to say about that. Something here I'm trying to react to, and I don't know what it is yet. That gets lighter and yellower. It turns up here. It wanders in and then it stops. That feels right. It goes even yellow here. So now that colour's on the surface. There you are. Swords are coming together now. Now, once again, the lighting isn't ideal. That'll be one of the next things to sort out. If I'm going to get some more controllable lighting, so because this looks a bit dim, but it just isn't. It really is quite bright. But if I put a direct light on it, I don't know if it maybe. It's getting a bit shiny there. So interesting, isn't it? It's just the polarizing filter there. I know it's going a bit dim. So you get a bit of the shine, but you lose some of the brightness. Break time?
I was going to say, is it time now for a little bit of a...
I feel like we need to have a break. Yeah, that's another thing I need to start doing, is making some adverts. Not that anyone's asked me to, but I'm not going to let that stop me.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Well,
We can be back in
the time lapses in
a few minutes.
10 minutes or something. Here we are at the Sherborne Open Art Exhibition. A warm welcome awaits. Hi Bridget, give us a wave. Very reluctantly waving. People meeting up, seeing one another. I'll pick out a few of my favourites. Lovely tonal values, green in the sky there. It's Anthony Paul. Let's put a few things in. Get round there in a sec. That's why I laugh. So does someone else by the looks of things. So we'll look onto this wall here. Andrea Jenkins. Miranda Holsby. Tint. I'm afraid I can't remember quite all of the names. This is a Graham church. It started off as the inside of a water tank. Percy Lizard. There's the Pam Marshall. Or Andrea. There's a Jeffrey Salt. Another Anthony Paul and Jeffrey Salt. That's the winner of the Oral Prize. James Meikle-John. Jenny Trotman's Shiny Red Jag. It's a watercolour. A few rather interesting. A figure on green. And this, which is kind of a sculpture. Very interesting. Do the next space next. Everyone is welcome. We'll go around a bit quicker now. That's a digital work, but it's a one of one. Hello again. Oh, Smugness is here.
Do we need cat count?
Don't know. Just have an image. If it's close up.
Hello.
No, ignoring me. He likes to have people to ignore. I think I know what to do, which is possibly dangerous. But let me go ahead anyway. I think I'm going to do the watch in the front of the jar. With a bit of detail. And then loosen up behind it.
The watch is showing 8 o'clock, isn't it? It's 8 o'clock. We should have moved it to 10 past 10, really, shouldn't we? Because then it's got the.
It's 5 to 8.
Yeah.
Well observed.
You know about the 10 past 10 rule for a clock hands, don't you? If you ever look at adverts for watches, they're at
it's
10 past
visually
10.
satisfying.
It's because it looks like it's smiling.
How idiotic.
Yeah.
And yet, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it really does.
Well, there you go.
You can only be happy twice a day.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to get as far as getting the hands on it. It is quite a bit of detail. A few smaller brushes in this. It is going to be important. Part of that is going to be a background colour. I might have to mix more paint.
You mixing more?
A little bit.
Wood. Not too excited about that, but yeah.
A bit more of this sort of colour. Which is quite pinky. Yeah. It's got a bit of substance to it now. Just going to take that straight off the knife. That's my vertical, that's in the right place. I'm going to put a vertical mark there. This bit. This bit. It's going to get lighter there. So the shadow underneath, there's a little swoop to it. There's a red edge. Red edge to that shadow.
Sorry, I'm still on palette now.
Okay, yeah. That. Where else can I see that? Nowhere. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember from the start you said that this was going to be quite a paint heavy
Yeah.
painting. How do you know that right from the start?
Well, it's more of a decision. It's
Well, then what leads you to that decision to kind of go, you know what?
I think it's partly just how I feel like painting.
Okay.
Um, there's also sort of what type of marks are going to solve the issue of describing what I'm seeing. This is the bit where I'm going to have to be really careful, by the way.
Which one's that, sorry?
This neck of the jar. Okay, might go over to another brush. This brush, in fact, this bluish colour. There's two particular shapes. Very considered. This one gets a bit bluer. Still quite high. Let's start inside here. I don't know if I bodged it. Have I? No. There's still a bit more to go. Green in that here. That yellow. Oh goodness, what am I doing? Spatula says no. Looking too much of what I've already drawn and not enough of what needs to come out instead. So some of the darks at the end are going to help it. Already did that. Actually works fine. Awesome. Oh, get a bit of this pink in there now, I think. This up. Oh, let's try this again. Where should that have gone? It started here. So you know what? Pop that in there. So yeah, so the paint's getting a bit thicker, a little bit looser. Bit of play. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is go for this darker colour. Start with this green. Put a bit of raw umber in it. A bit of actual yellow. That's completely wrong. Oh, that'll do for in here a bit though. Start here. So I'm changing language to a looser language here, less careful and descriptive. I need to be more careful around the bottle, around the jar. The jar, this is just getting a few sort of patterns on. I'll come back in with some of the background colour later on. So I'll be able to change my mind about any of this, should I choose to. So yeah, let's make that bluer again.
It's always quite good to, if you've got something which is extremely intricate, to try and find something within the painting which is less intricate that you can almost have a break with.
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of that. Now, is this working? Need to be finding my way around. Top side of that mark there. Coming round underneath and tapering off. If I do that right, it should start to look just like the side of the lip of the jar. Yeah. Is that doing it? I think that's doing it. Very tricky to say. That again. Much dark there. Doesn't look good. Let's stretch. Put a bit of this into the shadows. It's well under there. Yeah, go back to the light again. A bit more in there. Yeah. Now this is the interesting thing, is that there's actually some of these warmer greens playing around here. That's sort of a reflection of the pot. Get a darker one, just put it in here. Should give me a nice edge, which it does. Okay, I could over fiddle with this now if I'm not careful. Last bit of the dark. Just under here. That probably wasn't necessary, was it? I'm going to clean that brush. Okay. Just the even lighter lights. A bit in there, a bit in there.
So with these live streams, James, we obviously sort of see what you do within the space of a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, if you paint yourself for fun or for a commission, or what's the typical length of time that you would spend on a canvas that's the same size as what you're doing at the moment?
That's a tricky one, actually. I suppose this is the way I paint, so it's not like I would sort of suddenly paint more slowly, but if something did require a bit more care, I mean, I speed up and slow down on this. There's bits where I'm just sort of dashing it in. There's bits where I have to really slow down and be careful, like I just did. Yeah, that's really what's happening. So the way I paint doesn't really change. It's just a matter of how many goes you have at something. So you can always have more than one go at something. So every now and again I'll decide something's rubbish and I'll scrape it off. I'll do that more sometimes if I'm working on something, you know, a commission or something. But a lot of the time, I think what's interesting is that a lot of the time, if I'm doing a commission or something like that, I will go through the process and there'll be a certain amount of disaster that happens. And then when the disaster happens, I've learned something, and frequently a commission will not be the first go. A lot of the time the first go is learning what goes wrong and how to sort of you know, how to change that in order to get the result I want. And then I'll go again, and then it will work. So it's almost like rehearsal, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if you said to a performer, you know, we see you do this sort of this performance or whatever, how long does it take you to rehearse it? And of course, it takes them the same amount of time it takes them to perform it, but they just do it multiple times. So iteration is more important. I think I was saying this last week. More important than, if you slow down trying to make something perfect, you're probably tightening up and you're probably making it worse. If you...
Oh, that was the chap on Twitch, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you give yourself a sort of a habit to apply, then when that's ready to deliver, it will deliver. And then, you know, all the fiddling in the world is not going to save a bad painting. Okay.
I've lost Josie this evening, unfortunately. She said, afraid I'm going to have to finish watching later. Loving this time after time, time out of time.
Well, thank you very much for making the effort and joining us, Josie. Let's get well soon. We will.
A lot of lurgy going about at the moment, isn't there?
There is.
And do you feel pressure when somebody commissions you for a painting? Is
Oh
there
yeah,
an element of pressure that um
absolutely. And I have to get rid of that pressure. So what I will do is say, if I think I can do a good painting, I'll do it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. Which sounds like the worst business sense in the world, but it hasn't failed me yet, because I need to be able to relax. I've done a lot of commissions where I tightened up, and I'm slightly embarrassed to think about them, to be honest. I should have done a much better job, and it's because I overworked it and I took too long and I took it way too seriously, and I was thinking about what the customer wants and blah blah blah. And what I should have done is done like 3 bad paintings until I knew how to make the painting I wanted. And while someone's sort of looking over your shoulder, you know, at that point they're going to go, "Well, it's not working, is it?" And you know, which is perfectly reasonable reaction, if except, you know, that's not how it works. You know, it's and I think having yeah, having that sort of that time and space to play with something, experiment, see what it does, it's vital. I'm getting caught up with the ellipse on this thing now, which I shouldn't do. Right, this nice bit of red here.
is there an element of feeling quite daunted when somebody approaches you and says, "I would like you to do, you know, I would like to commission you to do X, whatever X may be," or does the fact that you are an artist, you are a painter, and so people should be doing that?
Actually, it's not. If they said this is the result I want, then that's possible that would happen. You know, if they said, you know, okay, I want you to. I don't know, no, because there's a process. There's a process to doing it that once you know it will deliver. Then it's tricky because I'm never happy with what I've done. It could always be better. I could always have done a better job of it. I should, you know. And I think you see that with the live streams. But there's that's not, yeah, I'm never afraid of just sort of picking up a brush and having a go, because you never know what's going to happen. I suppose that unpredictability is such a big part of how it works.
Well, I suppose as well, like, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, I have to start
No.
painting again.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean the stuff that should be scary is live demonstrations. Some people can't really hack that. And I can understand why not, because it's, you know, it is, you're on the spot. And that's why, you know, I don't know how I'd react to you know, being on one of those TV shows, you know, like Portrait Artist of the Year or something like that. I know I can deliver, but if I started to think about it, I think I'd tighten up and go, well, I've just done this mediocre painting, which is fine. I wouldn't get to, you know, taking the risk and going, well, let's just go for it, and it'll either be an absolute disaster, it'll be the best thing you've ever done. And if you need to do the best thing you've ever done, you're going to have to just take the chance and risk the disaster. And that's the thing that's really hard. But I don't think that really applies. I think that's the thing. You create the conditions within which you can do the thing you're good at without it being sort of, you know, destroyed by expectation or your own sort of interference and thinking too much. Is this coming in now? I think it is a bit.
Do you think as an artist it's good to have such a critical view of the work that you do?
Oh yeah, if you don't think you're rubbish, you won't get better. That's just part and parcel of it. I think the thing is, if you need the reward of thinking you're good, you won't do it. If you enjoy doing it for its own sake, you'll do it for its own sake, even though you're rubbish. And then one day you'll be good, or people will tell you you're good, even if you don't believe it yet. People will get something out of it. You can go your whole life thinking you're rubbish at something, but if other people are enjoying it, and want to pay you for it, you're not going to argue with them. You know, unless you're utterly ashamed because you know that what you're doing isn't as good, and the other people can tell, the people that count. So this is the other tricky one: is that your peers are the real decider, because you can always find someone who'll go, "Oh, it's amazing," and "Oh, that's really good," but that doesn't mean it's true. What matters is what you think, and whether you're, the respect of your peers is a part of it. You need to know that what you're doing is you want to sort of be contributing to something that you respect collectively. There's, what would you call it, sort of a general movement of artists, if there's a scene, if you like, whatever you want to call it, and you feel you have something to contribute to it, then whether you get to contribute to it is dependent on whether you can get the respect of your peers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite a big thing. So I've always avoided that as well. So it's much easier, and I'm guilty of this, is to go, yeah, I know I'm rubbish, but I'll just do it anyway. You guys are all amazing. Good luck. You have all the spoils and win all the competitions and have your gang, and I'll just be over here having a go. Thanks for encouraging me. And that's kind of the approach I take. And even when people go, no, you could be part of the whole thing, but you might have to handle a bit of rejection. I don't like the rejection. It's not that I don't expect it, and I don't even, not that I disagree with it. It's just, it's a bit like, well, why am I trying to do something that I'm not good at when I could do it my way, and no one can say, you're bad at it. If you're doing your own thing, going, well, this is what I want to do. And if other people decide it has no value, at least I'm doing what I want. And that's sort of always the approach I've taken. And then, I keep being told I ought to join in more. I'm not really a joiner. It's not in my nature.
Well, painting is exactly a dual task or a group task.
No, and I think this is very true among artists. There's a lot of people existing on the periphery, usually being a little bit angry and bitter along with it, which is a trap you can fall into. How are we doing for time?
We are at 20:42. 18 minutes. Yeah, 18 minutes. Sorry, been a long day.
Have you been working today?
I was.
How many cups of coffee did you make?
I think it was in the region of about 150 today.
Right. Do you have one of those like step counter things, but like
A pedometer.
Is that the word?
No.
Oh.
Well, it is the word, but no, I don't have one.
Right.
No. I don't actually move much when I make a cup of coffee. That's the whole point of it. I've designed the place to make sure that we don't have to move very much.
Right.
And therefore, it's much more efficient. Because I'm a geek.
Yeah, well, Nothing wrong with a bit of efficiency. Okay, going to do the hands on this. This.
I've got 10 to 10 past 10.
10 past 10. Yeah. Well, it's like I said, there is no time.
Mm.
All watches should just say now. It's now. It's now. Go on with it.
It's now. You're late.
Yeah. There's anyone who knows Sherborne will know there's a chap, and he's still going, and he sits himself down on a bench or by Sainsbury's or the library or whatever, and people come past and he goes, "You're late," and he says it to everybody. And I guess he's having fun. I mean, it's not a problem, but I really want to be at his funeral. It's that bad. That's a bad thing. I don't care if it is. It would be funny. I think we could get everybody to say it all at once. Everyone would get it.
It's the end of Brazil as the curtains are closed.
It'd be a nice little send off. You're late. Yeah, but he seems to do it with a good humour. It's not like this is tricky. No, just go straight on. Either. Try a brush for the. Bits of sparkle.
Yeah, not sure as to whether it's symptom of the fact that you've had rather a busy sort of few weeks. What with the Sherborne.
Are you saying this is rubbish and you're making excuses?
No. Just saying that the conversation that we've had this evening has gone quite sort of philosophical at times.
Yeah, I suppose I have been a bit philosophical. Yeah.
Well, it is rubbish, but I thought I'd eventually go down the philosophical route first.
So luckily, I have no regard whatsoever for anything you think about painting. It's nice to know, though, isn't it? You can think whatever you like in it, and you can't do anyone any harm because no one respects your opinion. gives you a bit. So that's I'm over the line.
Values you in the slightest.
I'm over the line.
Why do you even bother getting up in the morning?
Get that far. Such an awful human being. Okay. Oh, wakey. Right, last little home run.
Yeah, home run.
Okay, got this light. This is really interesting little flash of light under here. It's the reflecting from. Let's put a few highlights on this jar. Got quite a lot of loose paint on it. It's still got a bit of yellow in it. It's not purely mixed straight out of the white.
I'm a really big fan of the jar. I think you've done an amazing job with it.
Thank you. Very kind. Sort of golden light. This stuff there, that's fine. Okay, any other shadows and things like that? No. Right, last bit I'll do then, I guess. Is that the green? Yeah, go to a slightly bigger brush for the green. And that's going to be only a few lighter greens in here. Some yellow in there. A bit of mixing white in it. That could be too much. Oh yeah, oh yeah. A bit of stringy bits. It's all a tangle like that. Darker here, what's that doing? Yeah, a few quite sort of sharp greens for the half lights.
Is this another case again of we know what the plant actually is, so it's making you believe what it is?
Yeah, hopefully a bit of that. Don't need loads of this sort of green, and then it's going to have, so there'll just be a few of these sharper ones, just little rhythms, the way the leaves work. Which will also kind of go across here. Then a lot of them are going to be quite orange. And that's where it's going to get interesting. That's going to have some yellow, it's also going to have some red in it. How's that looking? There we go. A bit more browny. So there's dark, some brown bits there, there's a couple there. There's a few bits in here. You lighten it. There we are. Good splashes of leaves here and there. The lights are mostly at the front. Around here, there's a few. Need some of those other greens behind it. Again, yeah, like I said, it's just the language of it, isn't it? Last bit I'll do is I will make that even more orange just over one side. Lighten it even more. In that. Don't want to get too bright, but I don't think there's a danger of that. And then let's have some of these sort of, oh, I've got a rigger here. It's not.
A what?
A rigger.
Explain.
Guess what you'd call a brush that you used for doing rigging or ship paintings.
One of them.
Yeah. It is long and thin, and you can do these little zigzaggy bits like that. So that language of the time and the way it wanders around, especially where it wanders into this blue over here. It's nice. Over here, bits and pieces.
Oh, that's really interesting how it puts it on the canvas, isn't it?
Yeah. Go a little bit redder here. See if I can get away with a few flashes of that in. And then we can go into a brown as well. So I'm just putting a bit of oil on it out of the jar. Brown. Before I finish that, I ought to up here. There's some.
It's just far enough out of reach that you had to get up.
Yes. Okay. I'll put a little bit more light into that. It's that background colour. And where that shows through in the gaps. It's going to have its own particular language. It's going to go in here, and here. Little broken bits in there, but other than that. There we are. It's starting to look a bit like that particular plant, isn't it? Wander into it. Get a bit more light in here. A little bit more under here. That's going to help. A little bit paler, a bit thicker. Where else? Where else? Pretty much there. Sort of running out of.
Yeah, you're right. When you said at the start that the contrast between the pot and the background is really quite sort of stark and bright. Really interesting.
Get that bigger again. Put a few more dark stalks in. And then a few very light ones, and then a few more splodges of the green. Be a bit much, but a bit of green in it. Here, few bits and pieces. A bit less exact than I was before. Okay. Difficult to clean properly these things. Okay, where was I? Oh, the greens, yes. Put a few more around. that's the same colour. Yeah. A few darks. There we are. So it seems to play nicely, doesn't it? Last bit is just this brush is bright green. A bit lighter than that, I think. Don't want to overdo it because I don't want to distract too much from the foreground. It's just got to feel like it's I think I'll call this It Is Time. Because it is, isn't it?
Yeah, if you give it about another 30 seconds, it really will be.
Well, it would be rude not to finish on time with a painting like this.
Kaboom, there we go. So the first bong is actually when time is, isn't it? I've never known. There we go.
If I could keep time in the bottle, that would be enough. I was thinking of that tune, which was
Okay, coming from somebody as well that he doesn't believe in time.
well, I didn't say I don't believe in it. I think it exists as a measurable thing, but for me, it's not particularly empirical.
Do you have your phone on you? You know, if you do,
If there was no such thing as a clock, and it was just me living in the wild, and someone said, "So is every day the same length?" I go, "Oh no, they're wildly different." Now I paid attention, and really, one day it goes really quick, and another day it's really slow. You never know what the sun's going to do. Sometimes it hangs around there for ages. Sometimes it barely comes up at all. So that's sort of just how I experience it.
ta-da! There we go. That's awesome.
There is also the idea that light traveling across a Planck length doesn't. You can't go halfway. There's no such thing as halfway across the Planck length. So time ultimately becomes a granular thing. And if that's the case, then it's also and it's also relative. But Einstein taught us that. He taught me that. He taught it to you again. So let's have a little zoom in here, just have a closer look. It's not exactly the same height as my head was, but I hope you see some of the qualities that were there. And interesting subject. So thank you, Graham, for the idea. It's not great for zooming around. So the tripod's a bit jumpy.
The plant's incredible. The rigging brush that you use really brings out the tiny stalks that you've got going on at the time.
Yeah, I ought to vary up my mark, making more. That worked well, didn't it? Well done. Is that focusing?
No, it kind of focuses and then goes out of it. That's go back a little bit.
I think I need to just.
That's better.
There we go. And I can also do a little fun cam then, so we can have a little close up with that.
Oh, here it is.
I hope you've had a good time. I sure have.
Yes, likewise. I've enjoyed it immensely.
That's the correct answer. Well done. No, I feel like I'm sort of bending over here. Oh, adjust these things. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. I hope it was entertaining on some level. You're going to say goodbye, Morgans.
Yeah, cat content. This would be a video that does well.
Do you think?
Yeah, cat content all the ways.
Just watching the cat get its head strokes.
Yeah.
Head strokes. Oh, amazing. Oh, he loves it.
And on that score,
We'll see you next time.
yeah.